from the previous lecture, because we talked about the arms of government. We talked about the executive, functions of the executive, then the legislature, their functions, types, bills, the judiciary, characteristics, functions, the independence of the judiciary, problem. I don't know if we've talked about that, but I think last time we stopped at the efficiency of the judiciary, and we're supposed to talk about types of government today. So we'll be moving to that topic. But if you have any question, you can ask before we begin, please. Thank you. Okay, there's no question. All right, it's fine. Let me begin. Okay, today we'll be talking about the types and characteristics of government. Types of government. We have structures of government, we have types of government. So the first type of government we'll be talking about today is the unitary government. I don't know if you've heard about the word unitary government before. So we're talking about the unitary system of government. Now, the unitary may be defined as one in which power and authorities for the exercise of the function of running of a state are centered in the hands of a single government. So unitary as a government may be defined as one in which all powers and authorities for the exercise of functions and running of a state are centered in the hands of a single central government. Now, in this respect, powers are not shared between the central government and any other component units. It's just for one particular person. I don't know if you understand. Just the way we have, like, in federal system of government, just the way we have the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative. It's not like that in unitary system of government, because the power is centralized. One single person rules the whole country without delegating any power to anybody. He doesn't share his power. He acts as the head. He does everything. He delegate, yes, but then everything is centralized in one particular person. Now, going down to this system of government is actually practiced you can find it in France, Italy, like that, even Britain. Now we'll talk about the features of unitary states. Why do countries actually adopt unitary system of government? That's the question. Why do they adopt it? Because it's centralized. And if you look at what we have here, it's best practiced in a homogeneous state. When you talk about homogeneous states, like, there are no sharp difference in religion, language, they speak the same language, they have the same belief, the same culture, everything. Just the way, for example, let's say the whole of Igbo land is a country. They speak the same language, understand each other, they practice the same culture, food, belief, everything. That's unitary system of government for you. So everybody in that country speaks the same language, they understand each other, they practice the same culture in a unitary system of government. Then delegation of functions. The central government can delegate power and functions to other component units. Like I said, they can delegate, but still the power of the government is decentralized. It's decentralized. One particular person, a single person. Now, another features of unitary system of government is that delegation. Okay, small country. The system is easy to practice in a small country where the government has representative from every ethnic group in the society. In this very small country, it's not like, so you cannot practice unitary system of government in a country like Nigeria, or Nigeria is too big to do that, because one, the power is centralized, a single person. So if you say a single person should actually head Nigeria, I don't think you'll be able to survive. So it has to be practiced in a small country whereby you can actually control the people and the rest, you know their needs and reach out to them. But if it's in a large country, there's no way you can practice unitary system of government. So the three things I've explained, I said, one, it is practiced in a homogeneous state. That means they speak the same language, they practice the same culture, religion, belief, everything is the same. And I use something very similar as an example, like the Igbos. Then we go to delegation of functions. The central government can delegate power and functions to other component units. Then we'll talk about the size of the country. It's usually a small country. It's not a big one. It's usually a small country. Then we talk about the flexibility. It's another thing. Flexibility. Now, their constitution is usually very flexible. It's not rigid. Like something like federal system of government, they have rigid and what? It's written and rigid. It cannot be easily amended. But in terms of a unitary system of government, their constitution can be easily amended. That's why it's flexible. So the constitution can be easily amended. It's not rigid. It's flexible. Then another thing here is no conflicts of authority. Since the central government has all the power, conflict of authorities won't arise. Whereby this one will say, oh, I'm supposed to do this, and this one will say, I'm supposed to do that. I'm not doing this. No, because one person is just handling everything. Though we'll see the disadvantage. When we get to the disadvantage, we'll know how this thing will affect a single person handling the country. So it's not easy. It also has a disadvantage. Even though there's no conflict of authority, there's no quarrel, no argument, nothing, everything goes smoothly, it still has disadvantage. I don't know if you understand. Do you understand the unitary system of government?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the only one there? So one thing you should know is that when you talk about unitary system of government, the first thing that should come to your mind is that when you talk about unitary system of government, all functions of state are exercised by one person. You don't have to go deep to be defining big. I'm just trying to break it down so you understand. All the powers of the state are centralized. One single person has control over the country. So when you talk about their features, you can say the features of unitary system of government is usually adopted in a small country, then an homogeneous state, because they speak the same language, they understand each other, and then their constitution is flexible, very flexible, and then there is no conflict of authority. No argument, nothing, everything goes smoothly, and the rest. And another thing is that the power is centralized. It's centralized. Strong central government. Rest on the central government. That is their power. So move to the next. Unitary government reasons and advantage and disadvantage. That's what we're going to look now. The reason why they adopt. So most of the times you find these things in the features, and they see them in disadvantage and advantage, because the features comprises of both advantages and disadvantages. So when we move to reasons for adoption of unitary, from the features I just mentioned, you could get homogeneous factor. And I've explained what I say homogeneous is. I don't know if I'm too fast. Please, somebody should just wake up. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Response. I just asked why you please answer. I'm not teaching myself, so that I will know if we are following. I just explained features of unitary system of government. I talked about homogeneous state. Now we are seeing the reasons for adoption of unitary state. So I want us to explain that homogeneous factor. What do you understand by homogeneous? Just in a simple sentence, please.
Homogeneous means something that is the same.
Okay. Let me hear from someone else, please. Does that mean I'm talking to myself like nobody's actually following? Wow. Okay.
Hello, hello, Teresa.
Yes.
Yeah, just go on with your lecture, and maybe at the end of the class you would ask questions.
I don't know if they're even following it to understand, so I cannot just go on without them getting it. That's my way of teaching, please.
Okay.
Thank you. So we talk about the homogeneous factor, and somebody said something that is similar. They look the same. It's actually correct, but you can also say it's like they speak the same language, they have the same they share the same similarities and the rest. So it's best practice in a state where there are no sharp differences in language, religion, or political belief. They practice the same thing. Then another thing here we said it's best practice in a small country, which I have explained in the features, and then absence of tribal grouping. Like in Nigeria, we have a lot of tribal grouping. We have the Yorubas, the Igbos, the Hausas, and see a lot of people like that. But in terms of a unitary system of government, unitary state, there's nothing like tribal grouping. Everybody understands each other, everybody speaks, so there's no need for tribal grouping. Then management of functions. Management of functions. The central government can adequately manage functions at the same time. They monitor everything. So management of functions is there. Then we talk about okay, that's the reasons for unitary system of government. Then we move to the advantages. One of the advantages of unitary system of government is that less cost. It's not very expensive. Because when you're ruling a small country, you will not spend more. You're not spending much because it's a small country. You can easily manage your people. You know what they want. So the cost of running a unitary government is relatively lower than the federal government. No duplication of functions. So less cost. You don't have to spend money doing a lot of things. Central government will take so like in federal system of government, before the executive will take decision, you have to call all these councils. And before a bill can be passed, they have to like 2/3 of the national house of assembly, they have to deliberate on that, and then they have to give it to the president, they have to look at it and then approve. You see the process for a bill to even be for a bill to be passed. So but in terms of unitary system of government, just a quick action because it's just centralized. So the person has to make quick decisions and then the decisions are executed. Then we have flexibility. The method of amending the constitution is relatively easy because the constitution is flexible. So a flexible constitution can be easily amended because it's not written. You don't need to thought of the House to actually decide or vote. No, you can easily amend the constitution. So the constitution is easily amendable. Then another thing is no conflict of authority, which we earlier discussed. There can be no conflict of authority or confusion regarding responsibility for who is supposed to perform this. Sometimes you see the legislature, they want to pass a bill, and then the president will say no, all those things. They have to go to the judiciary to confirm how can a bill be passed without even the president accepting. All those kind of things. So it's not even done there. So there's no conflict of authority. No confusion regarding responsibility of what to be performed. Since the central government has all the power is fully concentrated. Then we move to absence of red tapeism. Sorry, this thing is not really complete there. So it is less bureaucracy as opposed to federal system. Federal system, you can see that. So red tapeism slows down action in the federal state, but not in the unitary state. Bureaucratic. Like you want to do this, they will tell you to go here. You just be going. What somebody can just do once, they will just be directing you to different place just to sign something and the rest. So it's not done in the unitary system of government, so it's less bureaucratic. Then we go to the disadvantage of unitary state. Am I too fast, please? Nobody's responding. Can you guys hear me? Disadvantage of unitary states. Poor attention to the local areas. The attention given to the people in the local areas may be very poor. Because I'm always using federal system of government, because in the federal system of government, we have the local governments. They take care of every administration that has to do with the local government area. But in terms of unitary state, it's not like that, because since there's nobody to be looking at the local area, there's no head. So the people there, they are easily neglected. Much attention are not paid to them. So that's one of the disadvantages. Pay attention to the local areas. They don't pay attention to them because nobody's actually in control. Then we have dictatorship. Yeah. A unitary government may encourage dictatorship as a result of power concentration in hands of single authority, because he has all the power to make rules, nobody to decide for him, nobody to check on him. He just makes rules, and those rules stand. That's dictatorship. Then small and homogeneous state. A unitary government can only work in a small and homogeneous state. You cannot say in a federal system of government like Nigeria, you want to practice unitary government. It will fail because Nigeria is too big one, and then different ethnic groups too. You cannot even control. And then it's a large country that even need a lot of resources to run this country. So if you say you want to adopt unitary system of government, it will not even stand. So that's why it says practice in a small country. Then development is very slow because one person is handling everything. So before you want to tackle all the issues in the country, before you even finish one, the other one is overdue. So it's very difficult to even develop the country because it's only one person thinking. So that's it. Then we'll move to the next. Talk about this overloaded with functions, because it's only one person. There are lots of responsibility on that person. A lot of responsibility, so overloaded functions. Then unemployment rates could be high in a unitary state as a result of load duplication and functions. So they don't pay attention to people who need job because nobody's there to even check, nobody's there to even look at things. So who cares? That's it, unemployment. There's no job anywhere because power is concentrated. I don't know if you guys understand. If you have any question based on this, you should ask. If you don't, we can move forward. I don't know if I'm too fast.
No, we can hear you. It's clear.
All right, thank you very much. So before I move forward, since it's clear, please somebody should just tell me one features of unitary system of government. Then we move on. Just one. just one features
A
on
unitary
everything.
government. A unitary government is only one person that rules.
Okay. But you can make it more sweet. You can say it's centralized. It means one instead of using only one. But you're actually correct. That's good. So we're following. Now we're moving to the next, which is federal system of government. Federal system, which we all know we're practicing in Nigeria. So I think we are imitating USA. Before we are following the Britain parliamentary system of government, and then we move to USA. So they practice federal system of government. So in a federal system of government, we say federal state is one in which there is constitutional division of power among different level of the 3 tiers of government. Hope that definition is not so difficult for us to understand. So a federal state is one in which there is constitutional division of power. That if you don't want to go at the constitution, so say a federal state is a state where there is division of power among the governments. The powers are divided, they are decentralized. Unitary is centralized, federal is decentralized. So you can just drop that instead of saying one, you can just say unitary state is centralized, while federal state is decentralized, which means power is shared. Okay.
This part they say power is shared. Does it mean like local government, state government? Is that what it means?
Yes, exactly. You're correct. So when power is shared, local government, states, like that. So if you say local government, it's actually residual or legislative list. We have the concurrent list. We have the exclusive list. We'll get there. So when you say division of power among different levels, which we are talking about the 3 tiers of government, which you just stated, the federal, state, or region, then local government. Federal, state, and local government. Federal, state, and local government. So you're actually correct. So the powers are shared between the federal, the states, or region, and the local government. In a federal system of government, in a federal system, the federal or central authority represent the whole and act on behalf of all in a certain matter, especially defense. Now, when we talk about this sharing of power, we use the exclusive list, the concurrent, and the residual. You'll see it in your objective questions. They might just ask it. It's always coming like that. So when you talk about the exclusive, I don't know if you've come across the word exclusive, concurrent, residual. Have you? Have any of you come across that word?
No,
So when
no.
we talk about the oh really? Okay. When we talk about the exclusive list, power and functions listed in the exclusive list are mainly for the central government. Take note because this kind of question is very confusing when it comes to it. And we will just ask that the state and the government power shared is under what? Is it concurrent, exclusive, or residual? So when you talk about exclusive, like executive, so exclusive, the powers and functions listed in the exclusive are mainly for the central government alone to exercise. Now, for example, we have the currency, defense of the country, immigration, external affairs, all those things, they're in charge of it. Your currency. The local government cannot start making money, cannot be making currency for Nigeria, like central bank of Nigeria, no, or be defending the country against external crisis. It has to be the central government. That's a portion. Or maybe immigration, external affairs powers, all those ones. Now the concurrent legislative, in concurrent, portion listed here are exercised by both the central and state governments. In the concurrent list, the powers are both exercised by central and state governments in case of conflict expressed. Now, example of this is the road. We have state road and we have federal road. You've heard that word, right? State road. We have federal university. We have state universities. So their function is based on higher education, labor, road, industry, insurance, research. So when you say federal road, state road, they actually do roads. They are involved in education, labor, all those things. But in terms of exclusive, you don't expect states to go and be creative, working on federal road, or say they want to repair federal road. It's not their duty to do that. It's not their duty to do that. So we concurrent they share the functions here listed. The functions listed here are both shared between the central and the state. Then when you come to residual or legislative list, functions listed here for the local government to exercise. Local government, but that does not mean the executive, the exclusive or corporate will not interfere. Yes. The local government functions listed here for just local government, that's residual to exercise. Some of the functions or duties are in the area of primary education, health, maternity centers, market, motor parks. I don't know if you understand what I'm explaining. I believe you all understand. So now when we talk about federal system of government, like from unitary states I've just explained, if you come to federal system, what's the reason behind adoption of federal system of government? Reason for the adoption of federal system of government. Now the reason for the adoption is nearness of the federal unit.
Sorry, ma'am.
Nearness
Sorry,
of the
ma'am.
federal unit.
Sorry, ma'am. I don't think I understand the concurrence. I don't understand that concurrence.
Okay, let me go back. Now, the concurrent legislation, I said, okay, from the starting, we said a federal system of government, the powers are decentralized, which means they are shared. And I think somebody said between the federal, region, and local, right? Now, the division of this portion, these 3 tiers of government are provided in 3 they are split into 3, which is the exclusive legislative list. I would say the power of the power listed here are centralized. Therefore, the central government alone to exercise, like currency, defense, and the rest. Now, the concurrent portion listed under concurrent are exercised by both the central and the state government. Let me use, for example, both the president and the governor. I don't know if you understand that example is simple, right? So functions under the concurrent are both shared between the state and the central government. And these functions are creation of road, labor, industry, insurance. Just the way we have federal road and state road. That's a clear example I can use. But then their functions are both shared. That's one thing you should know. In concurrent is only for the central government to do alone. And I said you don't expect states to go and be creating federal road or interfering in currency. No. It's not possible because those functions they are listed for only central government. When the concurrent legislative, there are things that the state can do on behalf of the central government. So in concurrent, the powers are both shared. That means states can do this where federal is not, where the central government is not doing. States can actually come in. So the power is shared both in the central and the state government. I don't know if you understand. Now some of the functions are higher education. labor, roads, like I said, there are some roads that states can just create, and it's a federal road, all those kind of things. So roads, industry, both are shared. Then when you talk about the residual, it's just for local government alone, like markets, motor parks, all those small petty passes. That's what's just consigned them. I don't know if you understand now. So anytime you hear exclusive, know that functions there are only for central government. Anytime you hear concurrent, know that functions there are for both the central government and the state government. When you hear residual or legislative, know that its functions there are only for local governments alone. But that does not mean the federal will not interfere, or not always. Now we go to the reason why we adopt federal system of government. To say nearness of the federal unit, federated unit. If the component units making up the system are very near to each other, e.g. state or region, federal system can emerge. Like the region is close, the state they are close, then federal system of government can actually emerge. Now the size of the country, like when I was explaining unitary, I was always saying the opposite of unitary, which is federal system, like small country for unitary, but a federal system you cannot is a large country. Once the country is big, it's very large, then federal system is adopted. If the country is too large, federal system is adopted because you cannot just bring one centralized person, only one person to be ruling how many states? 36 states. It's not possible. There will be a lot of conflicts which he alone cannot handle. So if the size of the country is big, the federal system is adopted. The fear of minorities. Minorities in the country may have the fear of being dominated by majority groups, all those small ethnic groups. They'll be scared. What if these people overpower us and the rest? So in order to protect the minorities, federal system is adopted. Then security. Some countries adopt federal system of government based on military might and power, military. That's the reason for security and the rest. Then diversity in cultures, like in Nigeria, different cultures. So when there are different cultures, can understand each other, the federal system is adopted. Then common historical background. Like the Britain, they imposed a federal system on Nigeria. How? By dividing the territory into regions and rule them separately. So this federal system of government that we're even practicing, it was introduced by Britain. Because at first when they came to colonize us, they just shared the country. They just divided region by region, western region, northern region, what other region again? Eastern region. I don't know if you understand. So this diversity, this historical background actually contributed to the federal system of government. Then maybe we have other things like economic factors and the rest. I don't know if you guys understand this, or if I'm too fast explaining it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if I ask now, what's the reason for adopting federal system of government? I need someone else to answer, please, so that we can move on. Just one. I don't need much explanation. Just tell me one thing you know.
For security purpose.
Okay. For security purpose. What's happening? All right, that's it. For security purpose, that's one thing. Security and the size of the country too is very important. I hope you guys can see my screen.
No, right now I can't see your screen right now.
Can you see it now? Can you see my screen now? All right, thank you. Please, if you don't understand anything, you can just draw my attention to it. I'll be glad to explain it. Now we move to characteristic, merits, and the merit of federal system of government. Now, one of the characteristics of federal system of government is written and rigid. I believe people have rigid constitution, written constitution, and the rest. So constitution of most federal systems are written and rigid. When you say rigid, it cannot be if you're military of the legislature and amend that constitution, and it's not easy to even get to thought of the National House of Assembly. So to amend the constitution, you have to actually bring to thought of the National House of Assembly. Even impeachment of the president and the creation of a new state, those are what are required. So the federal system of government is actually a written and rigid constitution. When you talk about written, the constitution are written in a single document, and it cannot be easily amended. It cannot be. It's very difficult. So in a federal system of government, the constitution is armed. Then another characteristic is separation of the constitution separates the functions of power among three organs of government, which are the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So those functions are divided among them. And last class we discussed about the three arms of government, which are the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. I would say the executive they implement the law, then the legislature they make laws, and then the judiciary interprets the laws. They interpret law. Now another characteristic is bicameral legislature. I believe I explained bicameral legislature the last time. I don't know if you guys remember. I mentioned bicameral and numeral. How does the bicameral legislature is? You can remember, please.
I was not in last class.
Okay, but you should know because look, I see all these things in objective questions. So in bicameral legislature, it means two chamber. Then in unicameral is just one chamber. In unicameral, we have both the Senate and House of Representative, if I'm not mistaken. So it's both. So in federal system of government, most of the federal constitution have bicameral legislation. For example, the USA. And I said we are following the USA. We're practicing federalism. I think USA they are practicing federalism before it was Britain. I think in 1979, during the Second Republican Constitution, that was when Nigeria adopted fully that federal system of government. We have presidential system of government in 1979. Yes, 1979. In 1963, we were still doing parliamentary system. But in 1963, that was Republican form of government whereby the president was now the head of state, removing the queen. Anyway, that's not what we are discussing today. So bicameral legislature, they have bicameral legislature, two chamber. Then we go to the power is derived from the constitution. Their power is usually derived from the constitution. Everything is written in the constitution. How they should administer their rules, their functions, the functions of the government are all written in the constitution. Why is this thing going? Sorry. Then we have, okay, power is derived from the Constitution, which I've explained. Then we have the Supreme Court. There's always the Supreme Court, which interprets the Constitution and decides on any conflict between the central and the constituent units. So the Supreme Court is there to always interpret, and the judiciary, they already say they interpret the law, so that's their main function. Then we move to merits of federal system of government. Merits of federal system of government. I think we have to be fast. If you don't understand anything, you can draw my attention to it, please. Should I continue? Now, the issue of autonomy, it allows each unit to be autonomous. They afford them an opportunity to develop in their own pace. Now, for example, the Second Republican system of government actually allow autonomous, whereby this one don't have to interfere with this other, because when you talk about this legislative, executive, and the judiciary, they don't interfere on the matter. Even the legislature don't go to the court and start interfering, or the executive will go to the court and start interfering on the decision the court make. No, they don't interfere. So that's the autonomy of each region. Then we have the division of functions. Functions is actually divided among them. That's why the functions are divided. We have the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. So it makes it possible for functions to be divided, and then different allocations of work to different areas of the government. So their powers are actually divided so that they can work in their own different pace. Then we have the next one here is reduction of workload. Unlike the unitary system of government where only one person carries the whole thing, you see there's a lot of burden on the person. But when the functions are divided, it's easy to actually administer and rule the country, because the burden will not be on only one person. It's actually reduced because everybody are performing different functions which one person is supposed to perform. So that's the reduction of workload. Then employment opportunities. Employment, these functions are actually duplicated. Employment opportunities are created for more people. I don't know if it's true now, but that's how it's supposed to be. Employment for everybody to work, because functions are divided, so they need a lot of people to come and work. Then the next one is decision-making process. It's very fast. More people take active part in decision-making process of the country, not only one person. Because your idea may not be correct, but because you're the only one, that's why dictatorship is there. You feel I'm correct, so this should be, and this should not be. But when the people are there together, they deliberate on the matter and discuss, okay, should we adopt this or should we just dispose this? That's what it is. Then we come to the demerits of federal system of government. Statism and regionalism. Individuals prefer to be more loyal to their states, and this can affect national unity. Igbo want to be loyal to Igbos, Yoruba want to be loyal to Yoruba, Hausa wants to be loyal to Hausa. Where Igbo are sitting, Hausa don't want to sit there. Yeah, Yoruba man is eating. All this kind of thing. They're not loyal to different because they're loyal to themselves. They want to protect their region. They want to protect their culture, all those kind of things. So they don't have regards for other people's culture. They tend to respect their own more than another person. If an Igbo man is there now, they will tell you that even if you have Igbo or Yoruba person together, they will tell you that, oh, they want to pick their person first before they even regard another person. All those kind of thing. So they prefer to be more loyal to their states and more than any other unit. The another thing here is possibility of conflict. It's possible. There's possibility of conflict. Conflict may arise because since there are different tiers of government, this one may disagree with this one may disagree with this one. So there's a possible chance for conflict to arise. Then another demerit is costly to run. Oh my God, Nigeria, we just cleared our debt anyway. So it's very expensive to actually run a federal system of government because the country is big. So you have to do a lot of things, a lot of projects, and which needs a lot of money. Because if a lot of development are to be made, then you need money to actually run those things. So because of the largeness, it's actually very expensive to run. Then we move to rigid constitution. The constitution cannot be easily amended. You need to thought. Federal constitution are usually rigid. This means the constitution cannot easily be amended to reflect the changing time. Now a lot of things are changing, but if you want to come and amend Nigeria constitution, you need to thought of the National House of Assembly. So if they're not there, and it will be very difficult to even get half of the vote to thought. Now ethnic disharmony, like we just explained when we talk about statism and regionalism. So we have the ethnic disharmony. They could be distraught among the various ethnic groups in the federal state. This can affect the unity and the very like Igbo against Yoruba against Hausa like that. Now let's move to, I hope you understand that. You don't understand. I hope you guys understand the information. So we're done with federal system of government. So when you talk about central and federal system of government, I don't know who can just define federal system of government. Just the way you understand it. You don't have to really give the exact definition. Just something you understand from federal system of government. Then we can move forward. I'm waiting. Anything you understand. If it's just a word, we're good to go.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
I can hear you.
federal system of government is when we have three tiers of government, like the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature.
Okay. Who else want to try?
It is a
Okay,
kind
that's
of
a good
government where
Continue. I can hear
it's
you.
a kind of government where the power is not just with one person.
Oh my God, I'm impressed. Okay. Yeah, the power is not just one person, it's decentralized. Somebody just explained how it's being decentralized, saying the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. That's perfect. I love that. Thank you very much. Now let's move to presidential system of government. I believe presidential system of government is more simple because that's what we're practicing in Nigeria. Even the federal system is still the same thing, but presidential system of government is more obvious. So I don't know if anybody can just tell me what you understand by presidential system of government. Anything. Well, all learning, even me myself, I'm learning. So let's just hear one or two words. Anybody? Or we should just continue. Okay, let's continue. When you talk about presidential system of government, it's defined as one which the head of state of a country is also the head of government. The head of state of a country is also the head of government. It's a system in which all executive power are vested in one person with the title of executive president, like President Tinubu is the head of state. and also head of all the states in Nigeria is the head of the states, and all the government in Nigeria is the head of them. Unlike when we were still in parliamentary system of government, that was 1963. You know, it was parliamentary system of government was divided, where we have the Queen as the head of state, and then the Prime Minister as the head of government. But in 1979, which happens to be the second Republican government and constitution, we then adopted the presidential system of government, and that's what we're practicing till now. The president is both the head of state and the head of government, making it simple. So when you talk about presidential system of government, just say it's the process whereby the president is the head of state and is also the head of government. So when we talk about the characteristics of presidential system of government, head of state, which is the president, is both the head of state, and we said we adopted the presidential. Please don't be confused, because most people believe they think the presidential system of government was actually adopted in 1963, because it was clearly stated that presidential system of government. But if you read further, you see that even when they said presidential system of government, they said he was the head of state, and then you go down there, you see prime minister as the head of government. It therefore means the functions were not actually will I say fused, so they were actually exercised by different people, different persons. But in terms of when we come to 1979, which is the second Republican government and constitution, constitution, that was when the presidential system of government was fully adopted, whereby the president was both the head of state, the Queen was no longer there, and the governor general was no longer there. So one person was exercising both functions, which is the function of the head of the state and the function of the head of government. So that's where we got this presidential system from. The characteristic of presidential system of government, head of state, which who is the first who is the first president? The first president of Nigeria. Okay, Shehu Shagari. When we first moved to presidential system of government, 1979, the first president was Shehu. I don't know if I'm calling it where Shehu Shagari was both the head of state and the head of government. Now going down to the characteristic, we talk about the head of state. We actually have their functions, but I will not waste time. We just move to their characteristics. So head of state and head of government. The executive president serves as both the head of state and the head of government. Then another thing is popularly elected. The executive president is popularly elected by the electorate. The whole country actually elects him. Unlike when it was the Republican form of government, the legislature, they just pick, they actually appoint the president based on minority, not majority. So they'll just sit down and deliberate and just pick president. But then the presidential system of government, it's popularly elected. Everybody is obvious. It must be legitimate, recognized, well recognized, and the rest. So another characteristic is fixed term of office. The president is elected for a fixed term of office. How many years is the president actually elected? Who can tell me the number of years he has to do? Yes, 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. So he rules for 4 years. He rules for 4 years. He can also be appointed again, can also be elected again for a period of another 4 years, making it 8 years. Like Buhari, he ruled for 8 years. So after that 8 years, he cannot be elected again. So then another one here is separation of power. When you talk about presidential system of government, there's separation of power. And this is where again the organs of government comes in, which is the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. Separation of functions, they're usually separated. So that's it. If you come to parliamentary system of government, it's fused. No, the only thing that is different from the legislature is only the judiciary that is actually separated from them. But we'll come to that one, but let's just focus on this. Then we go to supremacy of the constitution. When you talk about supremacy of the constitution, what does it mean? It's supreme, and such must be obeyed and respected by authority. That's when you see the rule of law, supremacy of the law, rule of law. Like nobody is above the law, everybody is equal in the eyes of the law. You know, that's supremacy of the constitution. Let's say, oh, you have vegan and this, you have no. Everybody, we're all equal, and the constitution is supreme. It's always supreme. Everybody obey it. It must be respected because it's supreme. Now we talk about the advantage of presidential system of government. One of the advantages is that it's popularly elected. So if you understand the features, you can actually bring out advantage from features and bring out disadvantage from features, because in features it comprises of both advantages and disadvantages. So advantage is like it's popularly elected. The president is popularly elected. Sorry, and also separation of power, which we said the executive, legislature, and the judiciary, they perform different functions distinct from each other, separated. Then we have fixed term of office, which we've discussed, 4 years. You're appointed for 4 years. After 4 years, if you want to re-elect him, you can actually come in for a period of 8 years, and after which no more elections. Then check and balances. They have to check on each other so that there will not be misuse of power. The executive checks on the legislature check on the executive, and the judiciary check on both, like that, so that there will not be misuse of power. Now we move to the disadvantages. One of the disadvantages, because anything that has advantage will also have disadvantage. So one of the disadvantages is impeachment process may be difficult. Like I said, in creation of states and amendment of constitution and impeachment of the president, you need how many persons from the National Assembly? I've been saying it continuously.
To talk.
I've been consistent. Yeah, to third, you need to third, and it's not easy to get to third. Like it's not easy to get to third. So for you to even gather the whole house and then bring that to third, then it's difficult. It's not here that they created anything or created states, or it's very difficult. So you have to get to third. So impeachment is very difficult. It's very difficult to impeach the president. I don't know if you've even heard that they impeach any president because the process is actually very difficult. It's not an easy one. Then lobbying. This is a common feature in the system, especially in the parliamentary system, in the presidential system of government. So lobbying, corruption everywhere. Even not in the issue of program. They want to do something to take time because it has to go through a lot of process. So it actually takes time to execute programs. They're voting a bill. I don't know if people know what is a bill or you've come across that word bill. Feeling interesting, like. Does anybody know? Okay, let's continue. The voting of a bill, it's not, before you see vote a bill, it takes a lot of process. Then it's costly to operate. Presidential system of government, yeah, it's very costly to operate. If you want to go to election, you need a lot of money in order for you to carry out that process. So I don't know if you have any questions based on this. Then if you don't have, we can move forward. Do you have any questions? In voting of B, remember the president can misuse or abuse the power given to him to veto B. But then the legislature can also pass that into law even without the approval of the president. It's the process. Don't worry. Let me not come into constitution. Let's leave that one behind. Let's just focus on this. But if you have any question based on this, let's ask that one. If you don't, we move. So you understand presidential system of government, right? I think so that they'll be for this already 1017. So let's see if we can finish parliamentary system of government. Yeah, I think so. We can finish it. Now moving to parliamentary system of government. Parliamentary system of government. Now when you talk about parliamentary system of government, it's defined as a system of government in which the head of state is distinct from the head of government. Both offices are fused. Both offices are fused in president. They are fused, like the executive and the legislature. They are fused, but the judiciary is not included. So take note. Now the head of state exercises ceremonial function. The prime minister is the head of government and the executive portion. So the president is the head of state. The prime minister is the head of government. Now let's go to the consider finish this 1420. The features of executive autonomy over the head of state is different from the head of government. In the first, in the independent constitution of 1960, we have the queen as the head of government. In the first republican constitution of 1963, the queen was eliminated, and we have the president as the head of government and the prime minister as the head of state. Sorry, I'm trying to go back to the slide. As the head of state. Then in 1979, we have both powers were separated. The president acts as the head of state and the head of government. So in the parliamentary system of government, the head of state is the head of state. Take note, the head of state is the president or queen. The head of state is the president or queen. Now the head of government is the prime minister is the head of government. So the prime minister is the head of government and he exercises executive functions. Now another feature is not popularly elected. The prime minister is not popularly elected. He is appointed by the president or queen. If his party wins the majority of seats in the parliament, so if the party wins major seats, then they pick from that party. So it's not that people will come together and say, we want this person to be the prime minister. No, he's actually elected by the queen or the president. Then another thing is fusion of power. The prime minister and his ministers forming part of the executive are also part of the legislature. You see why I say they are fused? So those people that are actually forming part of the executive are also forming part of the legislature, but they are different from the judiciary. They are not the same. So you see the same person working as executive, also working as the legislature, working in the legislature. So both powers are fused. It's fused between the executive and the legislature. Take note, the powers are fused between executive and legislature. The judiciary is not included. Then collective responsibility. It implies, this 1021, that members of the executive are collectively responsible for any decision taken by them. They are collectively, like everybody are to be responsible for any decision. So if you want to know anybody, it's not, even if it's one person that makes that decision, it's not polite. So if you have any question, you can ask. If you don't have, I can just recap and ask some questions to show if we're actually following. So the floor is open. Any questions? Or you guys understand everything?
I want to ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, you talk about the head of government under the parliamentary system. I can't see it again.
Okay. Yeah, please. Can you say it now?
I can't see the head of government under the parliamentary system of government.
Like find that the system of government, the head of state is distinct from the head of government. Both of these are fused. The head of state exercises ceremonial and he exercises executive function. Have you seen it now?
Okay, because I saw head of government, but I can't see it again. Okay, that's under yes, I get your point. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. But then I wanted to explain bills. Now, a bill is not a law until it is signed into law by the executive. It is the proposal, because most time we see this in objective question. It is the proposal of action discussed in the parliamentary and later signed to become a law by the president. It's like a proposal. So after discussion, they give it to the president to sign. But mind you, if the president failed to sign that bill, if he failed to approve it, the national assembly they can come together and the same way they pass that bill to the president, they can the same way do that and then make it a law. So they can overrule the decision of the president. They can overrule it if they see what they are. If the president fails to approve and they see what they are doing is actually correct, they can overrule the decision and pass that bill into law. So a bill is not passed into law; it is approved by the president. But then the legislature can also pass through to third of the House. They can actually come together and pass that law, make that law, that bill, pass it into law. So please, in case you see this one, see your objective, just pay close attention to all of these. You like to tell me your objectives. Then maybe your question, they can say what is parliamentary system of government. You can actually define, and then from your definition, you can explain their features and the rest. Any other question, please?
Mark, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, can you explain what it means? Can you explain what it means when the president takes away a bill?
When the president vetoes a bill?
Yeah.
Okay, it's like okay, let me first of all explain veto. He has the power to veto it in the sense that he can approve or disapprove. You understand?
Okay.
When you veto, you approve. So that's veto, a deal. I don't know if you understand my explanation.
Yeah, I get your point.
That's it. So you can say veto a bill, can just approve. He has the power to veto a bill. And he can even do it to his own favor. I think I explained something like that when I talked about the federal system of government, that they can veto a bill for their favor. I can't remember, but I think I spoke something like that. On the federal system of government.
Hello, ma, can you hear me?
Yes.
Under the
Yes,
under the features, what I'm trying to say earlier on is concerning the head of government. When we talk about the
Is it
parliamentary
Is
system
it
of government, yes, we can see the head of government. You know, when we talk about the parliamentary system of government, we have the head, the queen. Hello?
That is in okay, yeah, go on. Yes.
That's what I want to explain later on when I was looking for the head of state.
Okay.
Can you please explain the features of government when you talk about head of state under the parliamentary system of government?
In the parliamentary system of government, the head of the state, just the way you have governors as head of state. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So the head of state in the parliamentary system of government is the president or the queen at that time before the adoption of presidential system of government. So they head the state. Then the head of government is the prime minister. Like we have, okay, let me say the president, President Tinubu is actually the head of all the governors in Nigeria. True or false?
That's true.
But in parliamentary system of government, this was divided. Now the person that is heading the whole government is separate. The person heading the state is separate. I don't know if you understand.
Okay.
But then when you come to parliament presidential system of government, you now see that a single person was not exercising both the head of state and the head of government. That's why President Tinubu as the head of state is the head of all the states. Whether he's there or not, he's not ruling, he's not the governor of any state, but he's heading all the states. So if they have any issue, they will relate to him. He's the head of all the governors of all the states. Do you understand now?
Yeah.
That's it. Any other question, please? I'm asking really tough questions, but it's fine. Do you have any other question? Or should I ask my own question?
Yes.
Okay. Now who can tell me what's unitary system of government?
Yeah, unitary
Okay,
system of government. It's a type of
I'm
government that
listening.
involves one person.
It's very easy. Unitary.
It's a kind of government that involves just one person.
It's exactly one person centralized. The all powers are centralized in a single person. It's a single person. What if and give me two features, please? Any features of unitary system of government? Centralization of power. Very good. Centralization of power. It's even from the definition. Powers are always centralized. Any other one?
What about the abuse of power?
Yeah, it's under features, yes, because we are talking about features, it's both advantage and disadvantage that are included. Abuse of power, yes, in the sense that there's censorship, because power is concentrated on one particular person. He can actually abuse it because he has the power to make laws. Just the way you act veto, he has the power to do anything, to veto a bill. If you say you approve, you don't want to approve, nothing. He can even make decisions to favor himself because he has the power. Everything is concentrated on him. So he can make decisions, whether the people like it or not. As far as the one making those decisions, there's nothing anybody can do. But in terms of a federal system of government, even when the executive makes decision, the legislature will look at it. This decision that the president is saying is making, is it actually beneficial to the country? Is it going to benefit the country? They check. And when they don't like it, they can, okay. Even the president can look at it and say, oh, I don't want this. I want this. Can veto a bill. So
There's no check and
okay.
balances.
Yes, there's no check and balance. I love that. I think I did not give that, but at least if I use in your head, no check and balances because otherwise you're always going to check on the other person. Wow, that's brilliant. All right. Any other one? Okay, what about the federal system of government?
There's
Power is
features.
centralized.
Power is what?
There's a
Centralized.
separation of power.
In federal system of government?
There's a separation of power.
Yes, the separation of power, which is centralized is like the power is concentrated on one particular person. Decentralized is so power is separated. Now, what is the reason for adoption of federal system of government?
Large population.
Very good, large population. If you want to adopt federal system, you have to look at the largeness of the country.
This is as the various ethnicity.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Like various ethnicity. Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. I think we have almost 250 ethnic groups in Nigeria. Just imagine how would one person want to do that? So it's because of the various ethnicity actually. So in different local government areas, they have their local chairmen because you understand them. So they're easily fit to them. They say one person should be doing everything. How will you understand everybody? So that's one of the reasons as well. Thank you so much. Okay, I think that's all. I enjoyed this class more than the rest. If we really interact, I'm happy. I'm already smiling here. Thank you so much for your active participation. And I think I'll say good night to everybody. And thanks so much. I really enjoyed this class today. And I hope you too, you all enjoyed it. I don't know if you actually do.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. See you in the next class. I think the next class we'll talk about confederal and monarchy, and then republican government and military government, and then we'll move to the next. So thank you very much and have a good night rest. Bye.